Hello, everybody. How are you doing? I was sweating because I had some sound issues and I'm not very used to streaming, so I was like, oh no, how do I deal with that? Anyways, hello, Anna Christina, Vegan Stunner Lady. Hello, David. Hello, Plant Abuser, ND, and Carol. Thanks for being here, guys. Are you ready for another stream about reviewing outreach and learning, hopefully, about it? Let me know if you can hear me well. Hello. Let me know if you can hear me well. So today there's four options, and I figured out a way to vote that's much better and makes much more sense than the last time, because the last time it was a little bit weird. Oh, great, thank you. So basically, there's gonna be four videos. It's gonna be Vegan Power Labs, Natalie.Fulton, jemlettuce, and Amber.For.Animals. Vote horse if you want to watch a video from Vegan Power Labs, octopus for Natalie.Fulton, duck for jemlettuce, and a chick outside of an egg or chick for Amber.For.Animals. So horse for Vegan Power Labs, octopus for Natalie.Fulton, duck for jemlettuce, and a chick for Amber. Also, if you have a comment or a question directed at me, please add a fish anywhere in your answer so that I can see it, I can spot it, because it can be very overwhelming, the chat while you're doing the live. So that would be helpful. Thank you. All right, so I reiterate: horse for Vegan Power Labs, octopus for Natalie.Fulton, duck for jemlettuce, and a chick for Amber. Hopefully we can watch all of them today, but this is really about the order, so let me know. Hello, everybody. We have one octopus so far. I give you one more minute to vote, and then we'll choose the one that we're gonna watch next. So while we wait for that, basically, as I said already last time, I appreciate everybody speaking up for the animals, obviously, and working hard for them. This reviewing of outreach is meant for me to learn and to learn just tips and tricks from other activists, but it's also meant for us to have a discussion about different methods of outreach and different strategies and answers to objections, for example, and just to get better basically together for especially outreach, street outreach in particular. Um, I learn from watching other activists a lot, but I have this hard time watching them by myself, like, because it's very nerve-wracking to watch someone else doing outreach, because it feels like I'm doing the outreach, if it makes sense. I didn't feel this way before I started doing outreach, but now that I do it myself, it's not very fun necessarily. So doing that together, I think, is doubling the impact of the learning experience, whatever. So let me know in the chat what you think about my comments and what you think about the videos and everything. Yeah, I want to see them all as well, but hopefully we can time-wise, because last time I took a long time. Okay, well, there's only one octopus, so I guess we're doing Natalie first. All right. Let's do this. Okay, so I chose this one because I think that it's interesting for me, especially because I'm not used to speaking to Muslim people in outreach at all. So yeah, hold on. Yeah. Cool, let's start.
What's up, everybody? Natalie here with Allied Scholars for Animal Protection. I'm at University of North Texas with a sign that says, "Why aren't you vegan yet?" And Samir very nicely sat down and agreed to have a chat. And I just want to set the intention that this is going to be a collaborative conversation. We don't want to get combative. The goal isn't to, debate each other. The goal is to just understand why you're not vegan, and I'll kind of make the case for it. So how do you feel about that statement? Why aren't you vegan yet?
It's an interesting approach. I just wanted to mention something that just thought about it right now, and I wanted to share it with you guys when I thought about it earlier today. I think it's really helpful in the conversation, and I tend to forget to do that. When it's getting kind of out of hand or kind of more heated, and you want to calm it down a little bit and make them feel safer so that they're more intellectually honest and more vulnerable, I guess, is to tell them, I wasn't always vegan myself, so I really understand where you're coming from. And then you continue on. And I think this helps so much, and I don't really remember to do that. So I just wanted to say that. But I think it's an interesting way to start the conversation. Yeah, let me know what you think about that.
Yeah.
Funny you ask. I'm kind of vegan if you think about it. So I'm Muslim, right? So we mostly eat halal stuff, like halal food. So like America, like I grew up in America. I was born here. So like in North Carolina, there was not a lot of halal stuff there, right? So we pretty much eat pretty much vegan or like seafood and all of that stuff.
Sure.
So coming here to Texas, like kind of opened up because there's a lot of more halal stuff here. Yeah. So like I do eat a lot. Like I do eat more outside now compared to back then, but like, just weird. Like I understand where people are coming from, like not to eat animals because I'm on a certain point in time.
Yeah, I think after that, I don't know what she's going to do yet, but I think after that, it's important to define veganism because most people, I think, before you get in the conversation, it's better to define it because that way you get out of this just a lot of just the diet stuff or like it's for the environment or for health kind of thing. If you just get this out of the way, you're more likely to have a more productive conversation, I think, and spending less time on what veganism isn't kind of thing. I think you're starting on a good foot if you say like, veganism is the stance against exploitation and use of animals, by humans.
Then eat animals as well. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so totally. So you kind of
I agree to what you said before. I think even going almost against the industry in that moment is the right thing. Oh, you're talking to someone else, maybe? I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure I remember what you're talking about. If you could clarify if you're talking to me.
have like the religious Muslim background, which says, don't eat pigs, but it's okay to eat animals if they're slaughtered in the halal way, essentially. But yeah, so veganism is the idea that you want to reduce suffering to animals as far as practicable and possible.
I don't agree with that. It's not that, like, in terms of like the original definition of people who actually, invented the word. It's the sense against animal use and exploitation, and there's a reason why they didn't say suffering, because even if the exploitation doesn't include suffering, it doesn't matter. It's still slavery. It's still using someone as an object, commodifying them. So it's still a problem. And also, this way of talking about it can be very problematic because people say, "Well, I'm already reducing the suffering, right? Because I buy humane whatever." So I think that's a really something I don't agree with at all.
And we don't believe that there is a humane way to slaughter an animal when they don't want to or need to die, which would include halal. Do you know the difference between halal slaughter versus a typical slaughterhouse?
It's from what I've been told, it's mostly the way they slaughter them. And I was a little kid when I saw them, right? It was a long time ago. Yeah. It's like the way they do it, they make sure like the animal doesn't feel like pain, like it doesn't suffer.
Yeah, they definitely. Natalism, if you guys don't know what it is, it's like basically anti-natalism, sorry, but for all sentient life. So, yep. I mean, it's important. We're not saying it's not important. It's just that there's a problem in talking about veganism like it's about suffering because of what I already talked about,
Right. That's
How about that?
what I saw and all that.
Yeah. So that's certainly what they say. When it comes down to it, though, unfortunately, the difference between halal slaughter and non-halal slaughter is that in non-halal, the animals are stunned with a bolt gun first before their throats are slit. And in halal, they're not stunned first before their throats are slit. But they do experience pain and suffering when the blade is pulled across their throat, unfortunately. But do you think that reducing animal suffering is morally preferable?
I feel like if we find a way to suffer their pain, like like less pain, the better. Personally, yeah.
Yeah. And why would less pain be better?
Yeah, this also I don't agree with that because it's like there is potentially a way that someone could kill or exploit. It's not only about killing at all, actually, but they could find a way to exploit someone in a way that is they're not conscious of being exploited or whatever. It doesn't matter. You're still commodifying them, and it leads to other horrific things, anyways. But they're not free, and they don't also like. It's like Gary Franson talks about like how other animals and us included we're part of that. I mean, we are animals as well. We don't only have the interest to not to suffer. We also have an interest in freedom, in bodily autonomy, in being intact, like not having someone else use our body for their own purposes, like being free, all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's not only about suffering kind of thing. Oh yeah. So okay, let's look at what you said before then. Yeah, exactly. I mean, just think about that because I know that before understanding what veganism was, I was confused about that kind of thing. But when you think about it, like, yeah, it is true. Like in a utilitarian way, killing a bunch of people would actually be better in terms of reducing suffering because humans cause so much suffering. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Mostly because you wouldn't want to feel the pain if someone does that to you personally.
Yeah. I think it's great that you kind of put yourself in the animal's shoes, right? And do you think animals are similar to us in, the way they feel pain and stuff like that?
Honestly, I feel like yeah,
Yep.
because everything, every animal feels pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they have emotions?
From what I see, yeah, we used to own a lot of birds. So I saw one of our we had this pairs of cockatoos, right? They're like a husband and wife pair. When the wife died, like she died while bird like take like egg coming out.
Oh.
She passed away like that. So the male bird was crying. Like he was also with us for like 14 years.
Yeah, that's a great example of how animals can experience grief as well. So yeah, we kind of have the distinction here. We can say we can kill animals in a bad way, right? We can kill animals in a better way as well. But
I love any attempt in outreach of, de-objectifying, let's say, an animal, and just making them again like how you call it reestablishing the fact that they are a sentient being with emotions. I mean, most of the time, and sentience is the ability to feel and feel pains, etc. Because people just they when I read something recently about how when someone sees like an animal that is part of the food category of animals, they they straight away like their empathy just drops so quickly when they identify an animal that is part of the food thing. But if they're not part of, especially this aspect, um and like this category for using animals in food, they have more empathy for the animal. For example, people tend to have more empathy. I mean, I say that loosely towards horses, for example, and they often get really outraged when they learn that someone is eating a horse or whatever, you know. So it's interesting, this thing. Hello, 40-year-old vegan. Yeah. It's like yeah, killing someone who has learned that they have cancer, terminal cancer. um not necessarily even terminal cancer, but whatever. They're sick, and but against their will, not like as euthanasia, consensual way, you know. Assisted suicide is what I meant. Sorry. I don't get that because I don't think it's even that, because even there are forms of exploitation that people do not see as being harming the animal, meaning like using animals in entertainment. I guess not really, but anyways, like it's not necessarily, but the way that they are, that the human would see them as like being harmed or suffering or something like that. Manipulation, I guess, like exploitation. I mean, exploitation is really the best way to explain to me, because it's using someone else for your own benefit, kind of thing. Um, I don't know. Let me know exactly what you meant. I'm not sure I really understood perfectly.
But there's also a third option, which is not to kill them at all. What do you think about that option?
I mean, preferably, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, you
I don't really understand. I mean, yeah, okay, because they're talking about the halal thing, so they're talking about the like the animals are killed, but I hope that after that she goes more a little bit into exploitation in general, like using animals in general, because there's a lot of like ways we exploit animals that is not resulting in them being killed necessarily. So I don't know. It's not. I don't know. And also we kind of focus on the food aspect, which is fine, but I think it would be nice to kind of define that it's also like, you know, other parts of life.
you know, what we're about. We think that since animals are sentient individuals, they experience grief with that, you know, really good example you brought up. And since we don't have to eat any animal products to survive and be healthy, to us, that means we should leave the animals alone and treat them with kindness when we can. What do
I don't like when we bring up kindness, because really it doesn't matter if you. I get it, but it's like in some way it's like saying with respect, but it's not the same word. I'd rather like someone just never bringing up a vegan actor is never bringing up kindness, because or love, because it's not, it's just basic decency. Just leave them alone. You know, don't even be kind to them. Just leave them alone, kind of thing. And I get it, like in being kind, like yeah, you obviously want people to be kind to animals, but you don't have to. Like it's important, I think, to prevent like this idea of you know, like I'm not necessarily, for example, a kind person, or I don't love animals, so I don't have to be vegan, kind of thing. No, you have to, like, it's the bare minimum. Like you're not, it's not okay to, like, it's like these German activists, you know, that use the thing, it's not okay to not be vegan. I think it's a great messaging. Like it's really not okay to murder someone else, to exploit someone's body, you know, a human, to rape someone, like, and so it's not okay to, you know, exploit animals' bodies either. Same thing. Uh, oh, yeah, it helps a lot to, for example, show footage of the victim, even if, like, you know, it's not about the suffering really, but the suffering is, I mean, obviously an important part of their experience as the victims and the slaves, but like this, their suffering is often what people connect with in the first place, and so it's very, it's much more easy for them to connect with them as individuals, you know. Hello, vegan animal defender. Huh. I wonder what that is. I didn't see that. Yeah. She's part of the people I'm thinking about this. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's basic decency. It's
What do you
just
think about that idea?
I mean,
if you're not
personally,
an amazing person for not like raping someone else, for example, like just.
I'm okay with it, right? Like, it's also like I grew up in a culture like, oh, eating animals is like okay, so like, but also grew up like eating vegan all like outside of half of the time, so like I'm like in the middle, so it's like
yeah. So culture, I think, is a really important point, and obviously, eating animals is a huge part of not just culture in the United States, but many places in the world. But do you think the fact that it's culturally acceptable, does that mean it's moral? And by that, I mean, can culture justify anything as long as it's culture?
no.
Would you ever consider giving animals moral consideration and not paying for animal products because in those industries the animals have to suffer?
Personally, yeah, because I try looking for some products that like are not like non-animal based, right? Like personally, like granted, I do have a wallet that's leather, but that's as a gift, and I did have a non-metal, like I had a metal wallet, right, that has like no animal product and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up leather because a lot of times when we think about veganism, we only think about diet, but it's not just that. It's also, not wearing leather, not buying fur, things like that. Do you think we should ban the sale of fur?
Man,
That's good, I think,
honestly,
because like these people, like people often understand why fur is messed up because they're not engaging in that. I mean, or they don't know that they are because, for example, like the mink eyelashes, or like they are sometimes. I mean, obviously there's wool and stuff, but like whatever, they don't necessarily identify with using fur, for example. So I think it's a great way to bring like to make them understand that it's the same kind of thing as other ways we exploit animals. It's just an obvious way. It's like the comparison between how we're treating dogs and pigs, for example. Like it makes people understand better. I didn't notice that before, but it's funny how like the guy has a bull or a cow on his sweater.
I mean, if you find a way to get rid of the fur without harming the animal, that might be.
It's like is it's that's also why I don't like talking about veganism in that way of saying like it's reducing harm and suffering, because it's completely relative the way you're looking at reducing. There's always like what is the maximum, what is the minimum, like what is the threshold you're talking about. Like it's it's like these industries that are exploiting animals, they are boasting about how they are reducing suffering kind of thing. It helps people feel better about exploiting other animals. And so I don't think it's helpful at all. And I understand with like this idea of showing the suffering of the exploited animals, but to make people connect with them. But then after that, explaining how it's not about suffering, um, because I've already explained.
A good way, but like think
Ooh,
about it straight. Like
a bunch of messages in the chat. Oh, by manipulation, I mean exploitation. Or just, yeah, I get it. Yeah, manipulating. Yeah, I get what. Sorry, yeah, I get what you mean now. Yeah, I think they're thinking about like skinning an animal after they're dead, probably. Um, but it would still be wrong. Like it's like, would you use someone else's teeth or skin as leather in your house? No, because that's dehumanizing as hell. And it encourages this industry to continue. Like, it's the same idea. Yeah. All right.
like with sheep, like you have to find a specific way to shear them, or otherwise, they will end up being in pain.
Why do we need to find a way to exploit them better? Just why can't you just leave them alone,
So unfortunately, fur involves the animal's entire skin. It's not just the actual fur. So yeah, they do have to kill the animal for fur. And in the case of wool as well, a lot of people think it's just painless for the sheep. It just comes off. But the reality is that wool farming is
I think it's great that she's bringing up wool because people never see that as the same thing, but really
very bad for the animals because the workers are essentially paid by how much wool they get. So they're very violent with the sheep, and they end up with cuts all over themselves, and their wool production declines after a few years. So they're sent to.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. What do you think about this? Because I understand the value of explaining how the practices are horrifying because it helps people connect with it, with the victims. But also it makes me worried that people will think, well, then it's because they're horrific that it's wrong, and if it wasn't horrific, it wouldn't be a problem. What do you think about that? Like what she's doing, explaining because I think it's a good thing. It's just that I don't tend to do that because of the time, but also because I don't want people to think that it's just this practice that has an issue with it. It's when it's not, it's just using an animal because that's the root of the problem.
To the slaughterhouse anyway. But what would stop you personally from going vegan?
Hi, I'm Sam Jordan, Director of Humanitarian Action for the International Rescue Committee. Conflict and
Man, I feel like because I can go pretty vegan, like because I've gone halfway through it. I can just stop eating meat in general and I'll be okay with it. It just also make me feel a little weird because I kind of grew up eating meat as well. But
yeah, I understand. I grew up eating meat and all animal products as well. So did everyone here, and we all kind of came to veganism later in our life.
I love this way of like making people see that we're the same kind of person. We're not just these crazy vegan, that they're having this so much distance between them and us because they don't relate to us in some way.
And the idea of reducing your animal consumption is a great starting point, right? But the point I want to make is that on the end of any animal product is an animal who was exploited.
yeah,
And
I don't like saying that. I don't like validating people with the fact that they're doing a good job by starting with reducing, because then no, I think I understand it, but I don't agree with that because everybody's saying that. They don't need us to say that to them. And I have a whole conversation on YouTube with another vegan about this. But an activist against domestic violence would never advocate for less beatings per week. For reduction, no, it's not good enough. You just have to stop. And by the way, it's not that freaking hard. There are plenty of vegans that have stopped overnight. I didn't. I wish I did, but that doesn't make it right. And it is possible. So just it being possible, and people say, it's not because some people can do it that other people can, and I think that's just a cop out. You wouldn't say that if you actually understood how horrific it is for the victims and you valued, not valued, yeah, I guess valued them. If it was humans, you would be like, no, just stop right now. It was never your right in the first place. And also, it's so much easier actually to live vegan than people realize. It's really the mindset, especially because when you get the reason why, you just do it because you have to. You realize you have to.
I didn't want to be exploited. So if we're talking about eggs or dairy, the animal.
Yeah. I know. Yep, I agree. Oops, sorry.
Animals in those industries are slaughtered as well, and they almost have worse lives because the suffering is a bit prolonged compared to in the meat industry. They're killed when they're younger. So what would stop you from, I guess the idea of being partially vegan isn't really accurate because being vegan is more like a social justice stance against animal abuse. So you would never say oh, I'm mostly not racist or mostly not sexist. So vegans, while you can have a partially plant-based diet, vegan is an all or nothing kind of belief system.
Yeah.
So what would stop you from doing that?
Honestly, I don't know. If I'm being honest with you, I don't have an answer to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I like to hear, because if you don't even know, then that means that you could do it, presumably, right? So would it be something you'd be interested in trying?
Yeah, actually.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. Last thing I want to ask before I let you go is, do you think the fact that it's like natural or it's something that happens in nature, does that make it okay to eat animals?
If it's like all nature based, like ecosystem based, I feel like, yeah, because animals need other animals to survive as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's something I always like to bring up, because I think that, we've been kind of told that like this is natural, it's okay, it's fine. But in reality, first of all, what we do to animals in the meat and dairy industry is not by any means natural. They're bred by the billions, they're mutilated, confined, and slaughtered and by giant machines, right?
Yeah.
But even if it was natural, like animals do a lot of things that we don't consider moral. They murder each other, they eat their own babies. So do you think we should look to wild animals for how we should behave morally?
No.
Okay.
No.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. What about like the taste pleasure you get from eating animals? Does that justify what the animal has to go through?
No. Like I've ate.
I wonder if I should dig more. I think probably. In terms of like, it's just that she's asking him questions that he didn't have. He didn't initiate, like these objections, and I think it's a good idea. It's just that I've noticed that people try to just escape me, in the street. Maybe it's because I'm standing. I don't know. But they don't. They often just leave when I'm not ready for them to leave because I didn't finish the conversation as I like to finish it. Like I didn't address everything they said or whatever. Um, so I guess it doesn't really happen for me that I have to decide if I have to end the conversation or continue like she's doing with objections they didn't bring up. I mean, I would do that if they would let me, and they were staying around, kind of thing. I guess it's a good idea.
Eaten some bad meat, and I've eaten really good tofu. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
love tofu. Awesome. Well, I guess that's all I have. Well, one last question. Do you think the world would be better if we evolved away from using animals as resources?
Yeah, I like that. I
I
like that.
feel like economy and everything will suffer at one point in time, but over time it will thrive. So I feel like, yeah, we will, be good in the
Feel that.
future if we stop.
Yeah, I agree. And as far as the economy goes, like, yeah, obviously some people will have to. So a lot of people make a lot of money off of using animals, right? So they're going to have to shift industries. What I want to see, which is already happening in some parts in the U.S., is farmers and ranchers keeping their land but transitioning it toward plant-based farming. So an example of that would be a lot of the chicken farmers in the South. They have these big chicken sheds, which are actually a perfect place for growing mushrooms. So we don't want anyone to be out of work. We just want their work to shift.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate this so much. I'm going to give you some resources. So you're going to go vegan?
I'll try.
All right. That's awesome. And yeah, as long as you're trying but not doing it, I have to say that unfortunately animals will be abused because of your actions, but you can walk away anytime, and I'm going to give you resources and make it really easy for you. So thank you so much. I really appreciated this. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button if you want to.
That was pretty good. I didn't agree with a lot, but there are also a lot of things I need to implement. Okay, so I need to go to the restroom real quick, guys. Sorry. I'll be right back. I'm back. Thanks for waiting. So, I wanted to say something real quick. It's that, yeah. There's in 2 weeks. There's gonna be this book club live. The first one. It's gonna be a monthly thing, and so I've been reading the book. I'm almost halfway through, and I wanted to know if there's any one of you guys reading the book. And of course, I want to say that if you don't have time, or you don't have the book, or you don't want to read the book, that's totally fine. Of course, to come for the live, obviously. I'm going to be summarizing parts of it. I'm not going to obviously tell you everything about it because it wouldn't be fair to the author. And also, it's not really possible. I'm just going to pick out the things that I found the most interesting. But yeah, I'm doing a little ad for it. And it will be really fun because we'll have a little bit of summary, and then I'll invite people to come. You know, the people who've read it, if there are people who have, to come and chat to me about what they think about it, and we'll just analyze what we agree with, what we don't, what we've learned, and everything. So. Okay, that was about Natalie, I think. I mean, animal farming is not necessarily high paying either. And besides, does this matter? If slave ownership was a low paying job, would that justify people staying as slave owners? Animals are literally owned as slaves. It's the same thing. You know. Okay. So guys, there are 3 more videos. Oh my god, I'm being very slow about them, but some of them are very short. So vote for the one you would like to see next. So horse, put in the chat to vote. Horse for Vegan Power Labs video, a duck for jemlettuce's video, and a chick for Amber's. So horse for Vegan Power Labs, duck for jemlettuce, and a chick for Amber for the animals. That's commitment. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. That's so awesome. It's very exciting. Okay, horse. Oh, there's a lot of horses. And this, the activism just keep stuff that is not in the cards. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Ian, for this. Cool. All right, 1 more minute, guys, to vote. So, horse for Vegan Power Labs, a chicken for Amber.For.Animals. I mean, a chick or chicken, whatever, and a duck for jemlettuce. No, I'm talking about slave owners. Well, it's only for the order. Hopefully, we can watch them both today. All right, so I think it's Vegan Power Labs who wins. 3 horses. Yeah, okay, cool, awesome. Oh, yeah, 3 horses. And but guys, we have a tie, I think, because 3 wants duck or gem, and 3 wants Vegan Power Labs. So we need another one. Someone else needs to vote, either duck or horse. So meaning horse is Vegan Power Labs and duck is jemlettuce. All right, so it's gem. We have more ducks. Okay, awesome. Okay. I'm very excited to react to her video because I've been looking for that because I haven't really watched much. Okay, so we really have a lot of people saying that. Okay, yeah, I've been meaning to react to her stuff. Okay.
What do you think of the footage? Scary. Yeah.
Oh my god.
How do you feel when you see animals suffering and being killed?
Well, it's a bit uncomfortable.
You okay? Yeah. What do you think about the footage here?
It's all right with ups and stuff.
Yeah. Do you know what it is we're showing?
It's the environment, isn't it?
No, it's actually animals that we're showing. So it's like they're suffering basically. So
We watch a lot of wildlife programs. We watch all
I'm not going to repeat myself about the suffering, but you get what I mean. I'm just bringing that up again here.
sorts, David Attenborough and everything.
yeah, but this is like human inflicted. So this is the dairy industry.
Is this like an organization?
Yeah, so we are anonymous for the voiceless. So we're all just like volunteers, just showing the truth about what happens so people know what it is that they are supporting when they pay for these products, basically.
Yeah, but also I get it because she's starting with the footage. But I'd rather she say it's about animals being exploited, you know?
Would you say you're against animal abuse?
Maybe they would associate the suffering with the exploitation as well. That could help.
There's a belief in religion as well.
You know, exploitation causes suffering kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even for people that eat meat in our religion, okay, so the religion basically says that we're not supposed to eat. It's recommended we don't eat meat on a regular.
Yeah.
Even for people
supporting when they pay for these products, basically. Would you say you're against animal abuse?
I used to use that animal abuse very often, but I don't like to anymore because I feel like people just would be kind of like I mean, I get it because it's abuse to use animals, but I feel like you have to say that to people because they don't necessarily agree. Like they think that the right use for an animal is to use them. Like it's okay to use them. So also I feel like abuse kind of conveys this notion that there is like a right way to use an animal as a commodity, you know, so I don't like to use that at all anymore.
there's a belief in religion as well.
Yeah.
Even for people that eat meat in our religion, okay, so the religion basically says that we're not supposed to eat. It's recommended we don't eat meat on a regular as well. It's like a yeah. A lot of people don't actually.
It's not a treat for them. So in order for a cow to produce milk, she has to have a baby. So what happens is she gets forcibly impregnated. And then when she gives birth after 9 months, her baby is taken from her. So the farmer can sell her milk that she produced for her calf to humans instead. And cows are very maternal like we are. So when that happens, they'll grieve, she'll mourn and cry out for her baby, follow after them. Like,
I really like when people explain the bond between cow mothers and their babies. Yeah. Yeah, I think it kind of, in some way, it kind of like, if you're talking to someone about how horrific it is, I feel like it's less personal for them, this experience, and it's less powerful, actually. I mean, it's good to talk about it, but not to talk about how you're suffering because it's freaking obvious, you know? Yeah. Exactly. If you don't perceive them to be suffering, like, for example, people and fish, they're not suffering, you know?
like this.
If they're gonna eat meat, then it's basically it has to be done in a humane way, and not just like that. It's like that you can't force. I don't know. Look at it. You can't force animals to do X, Y, and Z.
So do you not eat dairy?
Well, we have dairy, but looking at that, yeah, it's like making me put off. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's how the animals are killed in the dairy industry. So you're supporting something there that goes against your beliefs. It only happens because people pay for it to.
Yeah.
So do you drink cow's milk?
I do, yeah, actually.
Yeah.
I don't like talking about the killing aspect as well because of like the fact that, you know, like the pesticide thing. I know like vegans are not like jumping up and down because like we use pesticides and we love it and stuff. Hopefully we can switch away from that. And I know that's not what veganism is about, but that's the point. Like veganism is not even about reducing death and suffering. It's about not exploiting animals kind of thing, because you're gonna, for example, kill an animal accidentally, right? And I know vegans are not talking about that when we're talking about killing. I get it. But I like to be as exact as possible so that the argument is as solid as possible, you know, and that it's just harder to get around because, you know, like, of course, murdering a human is wrong. So it's the same for non-human animals. But then people bring up pesticides and you're like, oh, God, you know that this is not something we love and we want that to evolve as well. But it's not like a vegan issue, you know, it's a utilitarian issue. It's like just like for example, in an industry, like in terms of accidents, there are always accidents in the construction industry, and they try to reduce that, of course, as much as possible. But it's gonna happen, and hopefully one day it will not happen anymore. But it's kind of a similar thing. Is to protect our crops, protect our food source to survive. Really, we need to do that for now, and I think that's justified. But it's different thing to exploit an animal's body and hunt them or enslave them, you know. I love that so much. I don't really tend to talk like this about supporting either. I think being responsible, yeah, the word is, if I'm taking notes, it's because I'm taking notes for my own outreach. So, let me, I think it's very powerful to talk to someone about how they're responsible for this, you know, and not like diffuse the responsibility, you know, like to the group kind of thing. It's our society. Like, no, you're part of the society. You're part of this problem kind of thing. Definitely.
So this is why it happens, actually.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the word vegan?
Yeah, I've heard of it, yeah, but I know a few people that are like that with meat and stuff.
Yeah. So what do you think, obviously, because you're against it, but you're also paying for it at the same time? So what do you think would stop you from aligning your actions with your morals and going vegan where no animals will be suffering for you?
Yeah, like that. Because as we talked about before, you know, like it's not true that no animal will be suffering because of us. Because like environmentally, for example, we're causing, and we should reduce our environmental footprint, of course. And living vegan and plant-based, just it does reduce it a lot, but there's still going to be casualties, you know, like you're going to step on ants, for example. You might have like I don't know, it's going to be accidents like this, and it's horrible. But just being as exact as possible with our language makes us more strong in our messaging. It's harder to, you know what I mean, like it's just more powerful, I think.
Give it a go, like, but I mean, I don't know how long I'd.
Hi, Louise. Do you think vegans should support animal welfare over animal liberation for animals having better lives? Most people are against animal suffering but still eat meat. I definitely don't think they should support animal welfare. As long as animals will be owned as resources and seen as resources, there will always be like this conflict between the owner and the victim, and the animal will always lose because the owner is the one in power, and they don't really care if the animal, like if a human is a slave, even if they're suffering less, they will never be free, and their interests will always be traded with like the interests of like the slave owner because they're more powerful. So of course they don't really care, but they're slaves. They want to make profit, you know. So no, I think animal welfare is disgusting. It's just a way to exploit animals with less guilt, because the animals might be suffering less, or they might not at all, or suffer more. Sometimes it depends on the practice you're talking about, but it makes people feel better about exploiting animals, and it does not at all resolve the issue, like the root of the issue, which is viewing animals as commodities for you to use. So I definitely don't. No, I think it's really bad actually to support animal welfare. Yes, just going vegan, rejecting other animals being commodities. Yeah, basically. Good question. Yeah, I do that as well. I think it's a good way to do it. Exactly. A lot of vegans don't necessarily understand that. I think that's a real problem. Exactly. I think if you guys are interested in that, like I read this book recently, Rain Without Thunder by Gary Francione. It's a very good book exactly about that. It's about new welfareism as well. New welfareism is basically vegans who have as a goal the abolition of animal exploitation, but they believe that to get to that goal, we need welfare steps, meaning bigger cages kind of thing. I really think that's stupid, to be honest. Understandable, but not a good strategy at all. And it's actually like, it's also not vegan, because you're still making it like, you're still telling people that it's okay to exploit, it's better to exploit animals in this way kind of thing. So it's a really problematic message. So that book is really good if you want to read more about stuff like that.
Keep it up, sort of thing. But
I mean, if you've got the will, then you will. You know, like we've all been vegan for many years, so you can keep it up for as long as you want. You know. But
yeah, be nice though.
I'd like to, like, I would, instead of saying that, I would, I mean, I know it's easier again, like, to criticize someone doing outreach when you're not the one doing it. I do many mistakes I don't actually even agree with myself sometimes. But like, I instead of doing that, I would say, you know, like, kind of bring it to a human scenario, because I feel like when you bring what's going on with animals to a scenario when it's humans being exploited or enslaved, it makes it very clear why it's not okay to do it in the first place. And bringing that shame, really, that they should have about using someone else as an object and using their bodies and blah blah blah, and making them slaves, you know.
yeah, you too. This is the egg industry here. The male chicks, they're considered useless to the egg industry because they won't lay eggs, and they're a different breed to the chickens that people eat. So they get killed when they're just a day old, either by being gassed to death or by being blended in a giant macerator. So if you eat eggs, then this is what you'll be supporting, you know. Going back to what you said about humane slaughter, do you think there is a way to slaughter an animal humanely if you don't need to eat them, if there's other options?
Well, there's different options. So we're not trying to cut short, we have to go somewhere, that's fine. But yeah, my belief is I believe we can do it. There is a humane to do it. We follow a principle, follow the way. Like I said, me, it's like sort of luxury, so you don't have it as often.
Yeah. But let's say, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
if somebody killed you in the same way, but they had a vegan option there, do you think, would you accept that if they wanted to eat you, but then they had a vegan option?
I won't taste that, so
yeah, but
I understand that. But like I said, we are allowed to eat meat, so it's a belief.
I'm allowed to eat meat. Everyone's allowed to.
I love that we're choosing to. Yeah. No, but it's like, also I think a great way to reply to someone saying, you know, taste though kind of thing would be like, well, that, you know, maybe that's not a great way in outreach, because I think it would be good, especially if you film it, to be honest, is to say that, you know, wouldn't you agree that, you know, a rapist would bring like the same justification to the table about rape, like it feels good to them. Even if there's a victim.
But the thing is, yeah, because if I do, then someone else suffers for that, you know. So surely that would be like the preference is to eat vegan, because you know all vegan food is halal.
Do you eat avocados?
Avocados sometimes.
Yeah,
I think there's well, we need to go. So
Okay.
I like what she did there, because she probably might have known what the avocado thing was, like maybe an environmental I'm not exactly sure what they mean with avocados. I think it's probably an environmental thing, like with the water or the bees or whatever. I mean, using bees is not like vegan anyways, but like we do what we can, you know. But like if like I've been actually reading that in the book for the book club. He was talking about how, like, the person who makes the claim is the one, you know, obviously, who's supposed to be demonstrating like their point and showing why, if they make like if, for example, if they ask about avocados, they have to be the one explaining why that justifies exploiting animals, kind of thing. And also there was something else in this book. Yeah, the fact that non-vegans often resort to descriptive like sentences, just saying like, well, animals kill each other, but that's not prescriptive. Like, that's just a description. And so just letting them, like, pretending you don't know exactly what they're gonna say, and letting them explain what they're saying, because it actually sounds freaking ridiculous when that you let them explain this thing, like, like, why shouldn't I do it because other animals do it, and then you can really explain what's going on. But I think it I don't know, giving them more like the heat of their own claim kind of thing. I think it can help. I don't know. It's just an idea.
Educational though.
Okay, let me give you this before you go. What do you think would stop you from going vegan where no animal will?
I don't really understand that. If the question is like, do you find it a good idea to do outreach with the sign? I do that with the sign, so yes. Not like sure that's what you meant, but exactly. And also they will like resort to utilitarian objections, like this guy. So definitely.
Will be suffering because of you?
I think I believe in like reducing consumption a lot. I don't believe everyone has to be a vegan, but I do.
Well, if you do care about that anyways, it would be better for you to be on a plant-based diet, as we all know. So less land, less water use, whatever, all this stuff, even if that has nothing to do with veganism, so
I do think like a lot of people should reduce the consumption of these things.
Yeah.
Wastage like significantly, and also I don't think the problem is that some people have meat. I think the problem is what they're doing and the way they shouldn't be doing it. Treating them in that way. They don't have to do that because some people choose to have meat.
But they do have to kill them.
some people choose to rape other people. Big deal. I mean, I don't know. I'm quite new actually to outreach, so I haven't done all the ways. When I do solo outreach, I just do it with a sign, and I like that because it doesn't have vegan or animals on my sign, so people have no idea that it's about veganism. And I like taking them off guard in that sense because they end up being more intellectually honest, in my opinion. Especially because I do the whole saver thing, whatever. I have never really done the TV thing because I'm doing solo, but I'm doing with the free the 3-minute movie challenges, which is people watch something, but they have to sit down and look at the computer because we're not enough activists for it to work with just screens holding out. So I don't know. Actually, I wouldn't be able to tell you. But I like the sign one for sure. And I like footage. I'm gonna actually incorporate this week. I'm gonna go and incorporate footage with my either a phone or a virtual reality headset because someone brought up to me, that they think because I just wasn't doing footage because people would not stay as long or whatever. But someone brought up to me that showing the suffering of other animals to people helps people empathize with other animals, and a lot of people have gone vegan because they understood the experience of the victim by just seeing them suffer, kind of thing, and then that led them to understand veganism. So I'm gonna incorporate that, but I'm not gonna do that with a TV screen. I think everybody passing by seeing that because I really love reverse psychology, but I wouldn't be able to tell you which one is better. To me personally, I think reverse psychology works better. But I'm not exactly sure. I'm new to this, so. Well, thank you for asking. It's a good question. Yep. Yeah, VR would be intense, I know. Yeah, me too. Oh, you're the one who told me they started activism themselves. Really, really great. Really awesome to hear. I love soul activism too. I would prefer that because every time like it's just harder to do it with other people because you have to make sure they actually show up or whatever, and make sure. It's just stressful because for me, like, no one shows up. There's one person who often does, but I don't think she wants to do it that much because it's it's just hard, you know, when you're doing solo activism, you do exactly how you want it. Yeah, group is great as well, group activism, because you encourage new activists especially, and it can be much more just more easier for someone to do that like this. So yeah, I think that that's true. I mean, I agree. Yeah. Yes, I created with a free chapter here because there was none. I didn't want to do AV because the masks to me are, I mean, I get it and I think it's a way of doing it, but the mask and the type of outreach I'm not exactly aligning with. So I did with a free, but like, yeah, I stopped because it was over winter and I'm gonna start again. Oh yeah. Anyways. Yeah, it's great when you film yourself as well.
They don't, yeah, but they don't need to do like all the other things they do.
Do you think that there's a right way to take someone's life who doesn't need to or want to die?
To take someone's life.
I don't like how we're focusing on the killing aspect because of how I've already, you know, explained.
It's like a long debate. I won't go into now because I'm busy, but like.
And also the masks, you know, refer to anonymous, which is something else. I don't know.
I'm a Muslim, so I believe like the things that what's put in our book is allowed, and there's like a lot of criteria on how we have to treat animals before that. But it's like if you look into like the plant side as well, those are living creatures as well. So when we're like chopping plants and things, they're living creatures as well. So
they're not creatures; they're living organisms. But yeah, they don't suffer though.
Apparently, they feel pain as well.
No, they've got no pain receptors. It's not possible. They don't have a brain, a central nervous system. So yeah.
It doesn't make sense for a plant to feel pain where they can't escape anything.
They don't suffer at all.
Just to expand on this, when you consider that the whole purpose of feeling pain is in order to escape danger, which plants cannot, it makes no biological sense whatsoever for plants to feel pain. Besides, even if plants did feel pain, the best thing to do would be to be vegan anyway, because less plants are consumed on a vegan diet.
Thank you so much, Natalie and Jem, for working for the animals. Really cool. All right, so guys, we have 2 more videos to vote on. So one is 12 minutes and one is 15. So we might actually choose one video. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe both. Oh yes, it is. So yes, guys, let's vote between. Okay, let me organize my notes a little bit because. Okay, so as you know, horse for vegan power labs and chick for Amber. So vote in the chat, either with an emoticon or whatever. Horse for vegan power labs or a chick for Amber for the animals. Oh, well, considering I do it in the middle of the main street, like the center, there's a lot of people, so I could. I think it would be hard for someone to steal it because there's so many people around, and I'm filming it. But yeah, I'm not really worried about that too much. And also, I mean, the place is pretty safe, so. Interesting point. All right. Thanks, Ian. Very helpful. Okay. Okay, I think we know it's Vegan Power Labs. All right. Thank you for voting, people. Thanks for everybody who came after the beginning or whatever. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Okay, so let me share my screen. Also, I told him I would react to his video. By the way, so I'm going to introduce this one because he told me. Okay, so I told him I was going to react to another video actually of his. And he told me, well, actually it would be even better if you reacted to this video, because it's actually inspired from David Arena's and I's method. Sorry for my weird English. I'm having a hard time with English. And it's basically like the social experiment idea kind of thing. I haven't watched it. I haven't watched any of these videos. And so yeah, he told me he would be interested in what I think. So I'm excited to watch this, and also something else. No, yeah, and yeah, no, never mind. Yeah, I know. Well, there are articles who who say this stuff, but they are actually misinterpreting the results of studies and stuff like that, and it's misleading about people, Dunning-Kruger effect, and also anything that confirms their bias against veganism, they jump on it. Interesting, because I don't know if you mean the consent method is like kind of like what I'm doing, because I've completely stopped using the word consent marriage because of there's just many issues with it, but okay, let's do this.
I think much. I just really like mayonnaise.
This is just one
It just
part.
traumatized me. That's so sad.
I don't like that quote, to be honest, at all, because it focuses on the diet, of course, and also like it kind of conveys like the idea that it's about what you value as the human, exploiting the animal, like when it does not matter at all what you value. I get what you means, but I think it's a weird thing to say, and completely not what veganism is. I mean, I get it, but I as we already talked about, killing or pain can be a problematic thing to talk about when talking about veganism. So I don't like, I get it, like the, trying to, like using celebrities because it can be more enticing for people because they trust celebrities or something like that. But I don't like this quote.
Okay, so let's say
it is an appeal to authority, right? But it's a strategy, because as stupid as it is that people trust celebrities who know nothing about the subject, it can help, if it was a great quote, I think it's a good strategy, but I don't like the quote, to be honest. Oh yeah, yes, yeah. I don't think I'm actually doing that one anymore. You'll see I have a lot of videos in store actually that I haven't published yet, because No Injustice Lasts Forever was my editor. He started doing less editing because I wanted to be more in control of the creative process and stuff, and he decided to focus on his channel because it was taking some time, like to do my editing, and so it's totally fine, of course, and it's really awesome that he helped me so much. I think he's the reason why my videos were watchable in the first place. But don't be scared. I do all my shorts, so I do know how to edit better and better. And so I have been learning how to do like he does, and so I was procrastinating because I was scared of doing my own full editing. So, but don't worry, it's not crappy. Anyhow.
say I want to take the freedom away from somebody. I want to imprison them. I'm going to ask you, let's say I want to take the freedom away from somebody. I want to imprison them. I'm going to ask you, regarding this action, how important is consent?
I just wanted to say something. I'm sorry for stopping you to say my own stuff, but I'm actually gonna talk with Vegan Power Labs on next Thursday, I think, on his channel. He very kindly invited me to chat about veganism, so I'm very excited to chat with him about this. Interesting. Why is that? Because in terms of feeling like it's ineffective, I totally understand, because I often after outreach I feel just, oh, did that do anything? But often I have very fruitful conversations, but sometimes not. But I think when you don't film yourself, it's much less impactful, obviously. But if you film yourself, you make a lot of shorts, etc., and non-vegans watch your stuff, especially through shorts, it can be very powerful because it's planting a seed, right? They might not go vegan straight away. Sometimes they do, but I think it's powerful because like you're planting a seed of accountability, you know. I'm glad you guys are excited about this. Yeah, I'm excited to talk with him.
Very important.
Can I ask why?
That's a loaded question. You're a lawyer. Not a lawyer. Wait, what was the question again?
Why is consent important?
Because if it's
Yeah, I want to say why I don't do the thing about consent anymore is because with the Uber driver scenario, I would ask, I would tell people like it's wrong because there's no consent. But someone brought to my attention that the problem is that, for example, children cannot give consent and other animals cannot give consent because they cannot communicate clearly to us if they consent or not. And even if they do, in terms of like they don't seem bothered or whatever, it doesn't matter because it's like a child, like the reason also why they can't consent the child is because they don't understand the power dynamic in the relationship with the adult or whatever they're doing, and so it's a problem of imbalance of power, and they're taking advantage of the vulnerability and the lack of knowledge of the kid, whatever, and the fact that literally that brain is not developed enough, whatever, to be safe in the situation and look after themselves, etc. So it's the same thing, it's the same concept for other animals because they might not have the same concepts of like what's going on in the situation and their safety and the power dynamic. And I mean, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day if the kid, for example, is not looking bothered when you molest them or whatever. It's just wrong because you're taking advantage of someone who's more vulnerable than you. So what I've replaced that with to convey the vulnerability aspect, because often other animals are more vulnerable than humans, and that accounts for also predators of humans, meaning like tigers, etc., in zoos or circuses, whatever, who are stronger than humans. They're more vulnerable in the power they have in situations that they're put into and when exploited by humans because humans rule the world. So kind of lost my train of thought, but I don't know, I hope I made sense. If I may have really explained well. So it's like the question I use in the beginning is like, what do you what do you think about forced child labor? Because it conveys this aspect of like the notion that it's wrong to take advantage of someone who's more vulnerable than you. Ooh. If you didn't record, it didn't happen. Of course, it's not true. It's fine if you want to do outreach without recording, of course, obviously. But I think it does have more of an impact if you put it online. And yeah. It can, you have to make sure you don't do it too much in a row because it can burn you out for sure. It's very draining to talk with non-vegans who are really selfish a-holes. So I understand. Within the vegan community, interesting. I wonder what you mean exactly. If you could be interesting to talk about. If you could clarify what you mean. Outreach faith in humanity. I don't agree, to be honest. I understand what you mean because we are outside talking with people hoping they will change, but I have very, very little faith in humanity. But I think if you hold people accountable, there is such a thing in people as this shame that they have when they have to be encountering vegans more and more often, and it does matter to people often to see themselves as a good person. So I think holding them accountable and just giving them a mirror once in a while is important, even if there's a low success rate in terms of making them vegan right away. But also it's about like, it's like Jacob talks about, you know, like the point system of like, there's this activist who's encountered someone this one day, and then the same person, you like, this non-vegan encountered an article or a movie or another activist, and that's how they became vegan. It's because of many instances of holding them accountable for their actions. I totally relate to that though. I've had moments where I'm like, is this doing anything? It happens often. But then I have a very good conversation and I'm like, yeah, actually this does something. And even if you trigger someone, it's a good sign, because actually there's research done on this. I know that um, Emily from Bite Size Vegan, that's the name of the channel, she has this video on you know, the meat paradox, they call it. It's very obvious that the people doing the studies are not vegan because they think it's, you know, like whatever. But they've done studies. They've studied like this phenomenon, you know, like sociologists and psychologists, of people getting really triggered and hating vegans, especially. And they figured out that the people who, you know, that the people who get triggered by vegans and who hate vegans are the people who actually have more in common with vegans in terms of like they perceive themselves to be, for example, animal lovers, or like they care about victims in general and oppression, whatever. And so they get even more triggered. So it's a good sign actually for someone to be triggered. And there's some instances of people getting really like trolly, like non-vegans being trolls or anti-vegans, and then turning vegan because they were so much like fighting vegans and being in that universe that at some point, you know, and also probably because they were triggered because they actually saw themselves in the same way and didn't align with being non-vegan, whatever. So I understand, but it's also just our obligation as vegans who understand what's going on with animals. Even if we feel hopeless, we still have to do it for the animals, because there's no one else they have to defend them and their interests. So we really have no excuse, you know. Even if we feel powerless, we have to do something, and the little we do has at least a little impact. So it's understandable, but it's also not, you know, okay to give up. Either way, it's always best. I mean, it's like these lives, they're made to I mean, this is all about getting better as activists and more efficient so that we can have a better success rate, of course. So it's all about getting better, but also just even if you do something that has a little success rate, it's so much better than nothing for the animals, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for everybody watching my content. And that means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Please get active. Learn about veganism and get active. The animals need you. Need all of us. I'm not sure if you were talking to me or to the other person, but oh, maybe to the other person. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody. Hey, Omar. Oh, is it because of the group thing? That makes sense. That's very good to hear. I really get that. Like holistic coding, it's very rough sometimes. And just know it's very normal for activists to get down often because it's just hopeless words sometimes. But I really appreciate you for everything you're doing. It takes a lot of you know, nerve and I mean bravery, nerve, and just like sinew. My weird words use, but still. Yeah, because we became vegan, you know, at some point. So there's hope for some people, and then the more people will be vegan. Then we only need like a 10% of something of the population, I think, to adopt like a mindset or a belief system or whatever, for the rest of the population to just follow or something like that. I think it's Born Vegan, like Serena Farb, who talks about that. Okay, we're gonna soon go back to it. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That's like the best. See? Okay, holistic coding. This is some of the moments when you feel like it's working. Because I often feel like what I'm doing doesn't do anything. You know, any other people tell me, well, it's not. Like even just people seeing a vegan messaging is better than nothing. It's true. There are some people that became vegan because of my activism. It's true for every activist, you know. So that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. That's awesome. Please continue. You're amazing. That means a lot to me. Thank you for letting me know as well. It's very important, I think, to let other activists know that you've inspired them, because everybody suffers from a case of doubt sometimes about the effectiveness of this. But all right, let's continue.
If you don't give consent, you're not saying yes to doing something. So exactly. So therefore, you don't want to do it. Yeah.
I would say it's because you don't want things being done onto you that you don't want them done. Yeah, right. So
I agree.
So that's why consent is important. Okay, what if this person was passed out or could not remember?
They can't consent.
They can't consent. Yeah.
And that really reminds me of like my thing with the Uber thing scenario. I don't know if you guys remember. I completely got that out of my outreach. Even it was a good thing. It's just like people would always come up with consent, and I didn't want to make it about this. So that's exactly what I said. What if like someone is in an Uber and she's passed down because she drunk or something, and she's molested by the Uber driver or something, and she won't remember anything and she doesn't feel anything. So that people understand it's not about the suffering, it's about the rape aspect, the molestation. That's wrong, even if she doesn't feel anything, because you're objectifying her and she has no body sovereignty.
Consent is still important.
Yeah.
Okay, what if this person is mentally challenged or not intelligent enough to understand the concept of consent?
Can't consent.
Still need consent. Okay, what if this person
I like how this is fast. Like I've actually you're not gonna see my new improved method for a little bit, because I have a lot of videos I need to publish. But I'm gonna this weekend when I'm gonna do outreach, I'm gonna start like implementing the wrong thing, instead of saying each time for each my question, saying like, what do you think about slavery? What do you think about whatever? I'm gonna say say right, say if it's wrong or right, each time, and that way it will be faster. I think it's more entertaining for the viewer, and it's like the person is more engaged, I feel like, and they're less likely to just go away in the middle of the conversation, which is so frustrating.
different? They have a different skin color. They had a lot of hair.
Consent's still important.
Yeah. Consent is still important.
It's new. He told, like, this is a new video of his.
Yeah. I like that. So we've established that regardless of how the person looks like, regardless what state they're in, regardless whether they can give consent or not, consent matters, and we should get consent.
Yep.
Okay. What if we really want to do this?
What do what?
Like, I don't know, imprison them.
If you really want to imprison them, imprison. What does that mean? Put them in prison?
It means like capturing them and keeping them captive, let's say.
Well, if someone like, mate, that's illegal.
Let's assume it's not.
It depends.
Do we still need consent?
Consent to imprison them.
Yeah.
It depends on like what's happened, the situation.
There's no particular reason. I just want to.
If someone's like no. The law.
No.
Thanks so much. I hope you don't use it too much, because it can have issues with it. But I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much for saying it.
No.
Imprison you.
Say it again.
What about if I imprison you for no reason?
Yeah, exactly, right? So I would have to consent to it, right?
Yeah. No, but you don't have to consent. Yeah, because you've not done anything wrong. To imprison someone? Yeah. That's not done anything wrong? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not done anything wrong.
It's important to get consent, right?
Yeah, but that's okay for you too.
By the way, when I say by imprisoning them, let's say I mean taking them to my house and keeping them in my house.
Yeah, that's kidnapping. Not fair.
Kidnapping,
yeah, that's
right?
not. No, they can't. Don't do it unless you consent. Don't do it. That's not fair.
Exactly. Consent. Exactly.
Yeah.
Love it.
She's a bit slow.
What if it benefits us?
In what way?
I don't know. I just
It
get
benefits
pleasure
you
from
or
it.
the person that you're imprisoning?
I benefit from it, not the person.
No, that's insane.
Still need consent. Love it. Okay, what if it were a normality in society?
What, to imprison someone?
Yeah. Everybody does this for some reason.
Still wrong.
Still wrong. Still need consent, right?
Yeah.
And what if it were legal?
Then it shouldn't be legal.
Then it shouldn't be legal. We still need consent, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what if everybody's doing it for, like, I don't know, it's a tradition all of a sudden. Everybody's been doing it for hundreds of years.
That's weird.
Get this whole out of the way.
It's wrong.
That's wrong.
Tradition should change.
We still need consent.
Yeah.
So we've established it doesn't matter how the person looks like. It doesn't matter what state they're in.
There's something I need to do, and I always forget to do that, and because I also forget what the person said, specifically them. I need to do that as well, to just like reiterate what they said and what we've established.
It doesn't matter what the action is. We still need consent, right? No matter how much, if it benefits us or if we need it to, right?
Yeah.
So then what do you think about animals going into the slaughterhouse for us?
Oh no, awful.
Awful, right?
Yeah.
Do you consume animal products, by the way?
I don't eat red meat. I was vegetarian for
Yeah.
8 years.
Would you say that consent would still matter in these cases?
Yeah. But they can't. But they can't consent.
They
I
can't
still think
consent.
it's wrong.
But that's why I asked, right? That is consent. It's still wrong, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Do you know what veganism is?
Yeah.
What, can you walk me through it? Just to
Oh,
be
I
sure.
see what he. Interesting. No, but I would still stray away from that. I mean, I would still not use the consent thing, because some people would be like, well, they don't look bothered, so you could say that's consent, like it's body, like a physically consenting or something, like their facial expressions or whatever. Like, like if we're relying on the oppressor to decide if the victim is consenting or not, we are gonna face a lot of issues. You know what I mean? So, I don't think it's the best strategy.
Wouldn't eat dairy or meat.
I wish I had never brought up the consent thing. But I think it's good, because as actors we can talk about this. Because I haven't really, I don't know. I don't like the consent thing.
Yeah, I don't use animal products that are like tested on animals.
Yeah. So it's a moral philosophy where we oppose the use, abuse, and slaughter of animals.
Yeah.
For anything, for food, clothing, entertainment, or any other case, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Informed consent. Interesting. Yeah, but still, it's not. I don't like it, because. Yeah.
And especially given that nowadays it's unnecessary to do so. It means that every time we buy an animal product, we choose to put an animal to a slaughterhouse, right?
Yeah.
So given that we cannot get consent, and given that it's wrong, as you say, that what is stopping you two from being vegan and living the vegan life?
I don't know. Probably because I don't know, grew up, my family would probably be like, why are you going vegan? That's weird, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would be pretty normal for me to go vegan. Yeah. Everyone would just expect it. I don't drink milk. I don't eat a lot of meat. Yeah. I probably could, because I don't really eat that much. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all about the animal.
Yeah, confirmed. Yeah, I think it would be good to just say it, but I'm a little worried though, because yeah, it's just like I said, if we're relying on the oppressor deciding if they're perceiving consent, you know what I mean? I just think it's much easier to just say, don't use animals as commodities, it's just much easier of a concept. And it's, I mean, also, I feel like there's a reason why in the vegan definition there wasn't, they weren't talking about consent, maybe there, maybe not, I don't know. I don't like talking about consent too much.
Animals, right? At the end of the day, right? And I don't know, let me ask you, do you like dogs or cats?
Yeah, my dog's dead.
Yeah. So would you say if you had an industry, you went to a country, well, not you went to a country, we had all of a sudden you found out that all of the meat in the supermarket that you can buy is dog meat. It's coming from dogs. You would still not consume it, right?
No way.
Yeah. So then what is the difference? What does a dog have that a pig doesn't have, that says it's okay to put a pig to a slaughterhouse but not a dog?
Family. Dogs have a family. Makes a family.
So what if there are dogs that don't have families?
That's a shame. Yeah.
It's a shame.
I'll take them.
You'll take them, okay.
Yeah.
But it's still like, is there any trait? Does a dog have anything that a pig doesn't? No, right?
No.
So if it's wrong to do it to dogs, it should be wrong to do it to pigs also, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and consent, again, I keep bringing it back because that's where I started, and I think it's important to understand this concept because none of these animals consent to being like enslaved because they are being enslaved, right? Regardless if we do it for milk, dairy, which by the way, the dairy industry has awful practices on its own.
Yeah.
But like regardless of, let's say, even if the best practices are there, us enslaving them and using them how we please, as long as they cannot give consent, is still wrong. Is it not? So
I agree.
Yeah, I love it. It sounds like you have vegan morals.
I love it, but I would I would just take out without consent. People could take advantage of that just real quick, you know what I mean? Like, my cow consents to being milked. Oh my god, I just can't see it coming. It's just no, because they're not fighting every single time you put the milk machine on them, you know, like.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Yeah, so what is what would incentivize you to go vegan right now?
What you mean, yeah.
I would honestly do it. It wouldn't take much. I just
but the
really like
problem is that
mayonnaise.
the oppressor's not gonna be honest about this. You know, like people will be thinking about like, well, I can use an animal if they're consenting, and I understand that like this idea because it's like for example, you might use someone else's work, you know, but you're not using their body as a commodity or something like that. You know, like it's they can actually consent kind of thing. I don't know. I think it's murky waters, man.
You just like what? Sorry.
Mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise.
Yeah.
It's vegan mayonnaise. What are you talking about? Which is exactly the same.
I know. I easily could do it. I think. Yeah. What about you? I probably could, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about it, to be honest.
I mean, I'm gonna give you resources.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me? I'm vegan.
Are you vegan? Yeah.
Yes, I am vegan.
How long you been vegan?
So I've been vegan for 2 years, but I was vegetarian for 6. The reason why I like to do this and talk to people is because while I was vegetarian, I thought I'm not harming animals, but it turns out that I am actually harming way more animals.
Yeah.
Like maybe not way more, but a lot of animals still. So it's all unnecessary. Say it again.
You're done your bet.
Yeah. So my only regret in life is not being vegan earlier, honestly.
Yeah.
So
I think if I was to go vegan, I would need to go back to being vegetarian and then transition. And I just like I could just like drop everything.
What? No, not. It's not super bad to use it, but I don't think it's. I don't know. I don't think it's a very safe. I don't know. I just don't like it. You know. Anyways,
go vegan. Sure.
what do you think? What do you know about the dairy industry?
Not much.
Not much.
No.
So all we know is that we take the milk from the cows, right? And
Yeah.
I assume you imagine a world where the cows are on the field and then somebody just goes and milks them, right?
Yeah.
But why do you think cows produce milk?
Where?
Why?
For like their babies. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So what happens is, first of all, cows get forcefully impregnated by the farmers, right? Then I can describe the method. They put in their hands up their anus and then holds the cervix, injects bull semen into their vagina. It's horrible.
That's disgusting.
It is, and they get held in a thing that is called, the industry term is called a rack.
A rack.
Yeah, the cow is held in that. So it's a lot of vegans call it. I also think it is, but it's
milk all the way.
Yeah. After 9 months, when the baby is born, because the milk has to go for human consumption, the baby is separated from the mother, so the baby never
I know that he talked about the rape rack because it's very powerful.
sits with the mother. And some good farms, they stay for like a month, but not more. And if the baby is a male, they go to the slaughterhouse because they're useless to the industry. If they're female, they get put into the
What do you think? Do you think I should include that, like describing the practices? I feel like if I'm showing footage, I don't have to, kind of thing.
cycle year over year. for 6 to 8 years, depending on the breed of the cow, depending on the farm. And afterwards, they also go to the slaughterhouse, and they can live up to 20, 25 years. So they don't live even half their life, right? So all of this for cheese or whatever dairy brings, right? So if you ask me, I still don't think it's justified to do this to them, because if I were in their shoes, I wouldn't want that to happen to me, right?
Yeah.
It's again like the same thing with consent in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And all of these animals are sentient. Do you know what sentience is?
No. Like they're aware.
It means they're. That's a very, very nice. I'll actually use this from now on. It means they're aware. Yeah. It means they're aware. It means they have emotions. It means they have experience pain. They experience happiness. They have personalities. They have families and all of this. So they're very similar to us in that way, are they not? Right. I mean, the only difference is maybe that we're more intelligent. But should we really base whether somebody should die or not on intelligence?
No.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
that's so sad.
Yeah, it is sad. Like this is just one
just
part.
Traumatized me. No, like it's a hidden thing though. Yeah. No one,
exactly.
No one anticipated about it. Yeah. You don't learn that stuff in school, do you?
Yeah. Nobody tells you about these. And this is, by the way, this is standard practice, and it's.
Yeah.
Are you guys from UK?
Australia.
Yeah, this is Australia. Okay, this is RSPCA. Australia. RSPCA is also in Australia, right?
Yeah.
All of this is RSPCA approved.
Yeah.
All of it is horrible. If you see, RSPCA is just a conglomerate that helps the farmers.
Yeah.
It's not for the animals. It's for the farmers more than anything. So I'm going to give you some resources right now because I want you to get a bit more informed, just to understand why vegans don't consume any animal products, aside from the idea that we don't want to use animals. Because when you're at the beginning, it sounds kind of weird too, because we've built a society where we say it's okay to use animals. But the reality is that if there's no consent, we really shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But if you cannot, it's very difficult sometimes to stray clear of that idea. So then it's good to at least understand why a plant-based diet is suitable and why all of this is. So I'm going to give you. Are you together? If there's no consent, we really shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But if you cannot, it's very difficult sometimes to stray clear of that idea. So then it's good to at least understand why a plant-based diet is suitable and why all of this is. So I'm going to give you. Are you together? Can I give you one card? Okay. So if you go on this website right here, freemovies.wtf, right? It's kind of what the fuck. It's an organization with the free that I sometimes do activism with. You can call it what the fuck, whatever. This is a code that I created. They're going to ask you to put in the code. You can put in this code.
Okay.
Let me just tell you real quick what's on it. So there's a thing called Challenge 22, which if you subscribe to it, everything is free. If you subscribe to it, they send you recipes every day on how to be vegan. They hook you up with the nutritionists. So it's basically all the resources you need to be vegan.
Yeah.
Then there's also personalized help. Somebody logs in with you on a Discord server. They say, oh, well, if you're struggling with some things on how to be vegan or whatever, somebody will log in with you online, have a conversation with you, and maybe help you out.
Yeah.
All of it is free. And there's one thing that I want you to watch. If you put in that code, all of this is available also without the code. But if you put in this code.
Hello, cousin Skincer. Maybe it is like the slavery too, you know. I mean, the reason why I use the child thing, I mean, it's, the problem I have with the consent thing is that it doesn't even matter if they appear to be consenting to the oppressor, you know, because it's still a power imbalance. Just like if a child who is molested is not like flinching, they're just frozen or something, but the oppressor is perceiving them to be consenting. And so it doesn't even matter if they appear to be consenting, just don't use them. You know, don't, for example, for the child scenario, don't use their bodies for your pleasure, or like don't molest them or rape them, or like just use them sexually, whatever. And for the animals, just don't use them as objects, because it's never okay to use someone else as a commodity and as a resource. You know, that's why I have an issue with. Yeah, I'm not. really in favor of the consent argument. I don't think it's the worst thing, but I wouldn't use it. I don't think it's foolproof, you know. I'm not foolproof. Like, I don't know. Like, it's bulletproof. That's what I meant. Sorry. I mean, maybe I don't think it's the best and the most powerful thing, you know. I think it confuses people, to be honest. Interesting. Do you mean in outreach? Because I bring it up a lot because people can understand very well animal slavery through the lens of human slavery, you know? I mean, yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like that's why it's illegal, for example. I mean, not that legality is like the thing we should trust, but like the legality of an action, but to make it okay, whatever. That's why we don't like. It's like they call it statutory, I think, rape, when you're like molesting or having a sexual relationship with a minor, because literally their brain is not completely developed yet, and you have there's a power imbalance. Like they're not. It's not a balanced relationship, and so it opens the door for very unsafe behaviors, and they don't have the defense that an adult would. If like you're in a relationship with a minor as an adult, like for example, they would not be able to recognize problematic behaviors or like danger, because literally that part of the brain is not developed yet for them. Um, anyways, and yeah, well, whatever. There's a lot of other reasons, and other people could talk about better, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I think I'm talking more like in the areas where they, like for example, literally some people say that it's bestiality is okay sometimes if the animal doesn't put up a fight or something like that. How the hell do you know that the animal is like not frozen in fear or something? How do you know? Like, I mean, the oppressor is deciding if the animal doesn't put up like, it's just insane. Anyways, that's what I mean. For example, in that scenario, but yeah, but I think in that sense, I think I would put footage in that discussion as well, so that they understand the gravity of the horrifying nature of exploitation. You know what I mean? So that because otherwise it would not land. Maybe, you know. Okay. Oops.
But I put a video there. It's called "The Most Important Speech You Will Ever Hear." It's about an animal rights act.
I used to really like that speech, but there's a lot of things I don't really agree. Messaging. It's actually the speech that made me vegan. I mean, plant-based, because I didn't understand what veganism was at that point. But even if that's what made me plant-based and go towards veganism, I think there's a bunch of stuff in there that I don't really think is great messaging-wise at all, and actually confusing.
Activists such as myself, but way better spoken, who held a speech in US. Somebody recorded it, put up online. It's got millions of views.
I'm going to challenge your belief systems today, so certain parts of the speech will be intense.
The video is 1 hour. The speech is 30 minutes. The speech is about animal rights and how what happens in the animal industry. And I think it's important.
Yeah, exactly. Like they won't connect with the victims enough. It's too conceptual for people, I think. That's why I think it helps to bring up the human slavery, because often people are so triggered, like not yeah, often that happens, but like they understand the horrors of human slavery pretty well. I mean, it's straightforward, but they've heard of how horrific it is, kind of thing, you know, like the experiences, like whatever, how horrific it was, whatever. And so by comparing that to other animals and their slavery, I mean, the other animal slavery, can really make them understand straight away how horrific it is, you know?
It's important that you document yourself further into this into why. Well, I think it's important to know what you're buying, right?
Yeah.
What you're paying for. It's very important that you know that maybe animals are suffering, maybe humans are suffering. At the end of the day, you can make your choice afterwards better knowing exactly what you're paying for, right? So
I don't like that because they could say, well, I know what I'm buying humane things. I think at the end of the conversation, we need to be more, a little harsher than we are in the rest of the conversation, because it's really when you say, like, you know, like, you're responsible for this, like, you need to go vegan kind of thing. And I haven't really found the great way to do it. I think I've been changing it up, and I think I'm gonna implement at the end just like saying, you know, if you were in the if you were the other animal, you know, like the animal who is in the slaughterhouse or being enslaved somewhere or hunted, how fast would you need people to go vegan or something like that, so that it's like, it's still Socratic method and it's like a strong thing, you know. It's not, it's implied that you have to, you know, that's needed that you go vegan, but it's also like, it's about how freaking urgent it is, you know.
So please watch this part. The 30 minutes, the speech is it's where they explain it. It's not gruesome. There's parts of it where it's.
I think it's not a good idea to, after the talk, to spend so much time talking about the resources, because I think they're kind of checked out at this point. Because when someone tells you about like the things they're giving you as resources, I think you're kind of checking out, and it can be more mysterious maybe to not know. I don't know. I don't tend to spend too much time.
It's part of gruesome.
Yeah.
But if you don't like to look at that, don't look at that. But at least it's important that you understand, like you did now for the dairy industry, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's important that we know exactly what these practices are, because all these industries, they're so incentivized to sell us products that they will never tell us what the truth is behind it, right?
Yeah.
So it's important that we know what the truth is behind it, so that we can make decisions based on the reality, not some fiction that they created for us. And do you know what the #1 benefit of being vegan is?
Health benefits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Health is, well, it's not the #1, but
I used to do that. I don't like it anymore, because I get this thing, like the #1 benefit is that the animals are not exploited, and I get it. It's not. I'm not saying it's bad, but I don't think it's very powerful compared to other things we could say. But I get it, and I don't think
but it's one benefit.
Save the animals.
Exactly. Animals don't die on your behalf, and you're not a hypocrite, because if you oppose the killing of animals, needless killing of animals, then you can live up to that standard, right?
Oh.
Yeah, and one person going vegan can save up to 100 animals per year, depending on how much animal products they consume.
Yeah.
Right?
I used to talk about this a lot, and I don't think it's bad. It's just that I'm a little worried that people. I don't know. What do you guys think about talking about the amount of animals in general? Because of the like, I'm concerned because of the subsidies. So I don't know if you know, but like, you know, like they still, like, if a farmer or something is not. I don't remember what it was. Like, even if there's no demand for it, they will still like exploit and kill just as many animals sometimes, because of like the fact that they're being paid. Like, if they're not going to be paid if they don't have enough. I mean, as many animals killed and exploited or something like that. But at the end of the day, like, you know, at some point they will not be able to afford doing that because there will be too many vegans. So I don't
So
know.
that means going forward, every time you will buy an animal product, you will put an animal to a slaughterhouse, right? So be aware of that. Like, you can take your time towards being vegan, but every time you buy an animal product, they will go to a slaughterhouse.
Exactly.
And
it's a very good way to put it. I'll be right back, guys. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. I'm saying goodbye to my husband who's going to work. Yeah, I think that was a great point. Exactly. I think it's great to remind ourselves, you know, when we're kind of not knowing if the way we're talking about the animal injustice is right or like the best. It's just to replace the other, you know, the non-human animal with humans, you know.
as long as you're not vegan, you know, just count the number of animals that die for you going forward because of this number, right? It's a huge number, right? If you think about it. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. What's your names?
Ariana.
Ariana. Say it again.
Rachel.
Rachel. Okay, I'm Chip. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. I hope you can go vegan. I mean, there's really, honestly, it's not difficult. It sounds difficult at first.
Yeah, but it's not. I think people make it sound difficult.
Especially where do you live in UK?
Like
Oh.
vegans.
Exactly. There's so many vegan products nowadays. You just have to look at it. Like for me, after being vegetarian, my life as a vegan has become actually easier and cheaper overall. There are some products that are more expensive. I don't always buy those, right? And I looked in Albert Heijn in the store that they have here. There are 150 products. In UK at Tesco, they have 150 vegan. Like all of these are mock meats, by the way, right? They have 100.
I understand. It's good to say that it's not difficult, but I also feel like we don't really need to describe how to do it, because when someone gets it, they get it, and they will figure it out themselves because they will want to, you know?
50 products. So like if you count all the number of products that you have, there's so many that if you find one that you don't like, maybe you like another, right? It's not, with these products, it's all, you need to find the one that works for you.
Yeah. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for having this conversation with me. Yeah.
So I'm just saying, you know, like, what? Yeah, I'm not gonna necessarily focus on too much of like the arguments and not necessarily about the outreach right now, because I want these live streams, the reacting to vegan outreach, to be specifically on the outreach. But yeah. So if I'm not answering things that are not necessarily about the outreach in your chat, that's why.
Yeah. Okay.
Have a good day.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Cyprian, for doing this, doing the work, the hard work. I hope you can let me know your thoughts on what I said about your tricks and your strategies. I would really like to hear back from you guys. And if you have feedback on my own outreach, that would be very helpful as well. Cyprian said that he can't really, he couldn't really be here because it's nighttime for him. So he said he would hopefully watch it again. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much for all the work. Okay, so we have one video left. It's 12 minutes. I want to make it because I was supposed to watch this one last time as well. So, and at the end, guys, I would like to know which videos you'd like me to review. You know, it would have to be outreach, but it doesn't have to be. If you really have something you'd like me to react to, that's not outreach. But I might not choose that one because I want to get better as an outreacher in particular. You know. So let's watch the chick, which is Amber. I mean, who is Amber.For.Animals. And also to watch his stuff because I've never really watched. I mean, I have watched one, I think, before, but
yeah.
Can I ask you a question? You asked me about meat eating and masculinity. Do you think there's a connection between eating or abstaining from eggs and dairy as a form of feminism and femininity? Because ultimately, the animals which get abused for dairy and eggs are females. They're the ones that get their reproductive cycles exploited. Have you ever thought about that connection before?
Yeah, I feel like from the reason.
I think that's an interesting thing when people talk about that. I used to really like that, and I think it's powerful in some sense, but also not really, because I don't really do like this comparison at all, because I mean, just talking about how, the comparison between feminism and the exploited females, because it's like, it doesn't really have anything to do with gender. Like so many, like other animals are exploited whether they're male or female. So in that sense, I think it's kind of not really relevant. I understand what he's doing, but I don't like it anymore because of that. It's kind of like, I mean, they would they exploit the males anyways, you know, for like beef, for example. And I get it, like the breast milk is it's very glaring that it's, if it was humans, for example, like it's a gender, like it's gender-based exploitation. I just feel like it's a little, I'm not sure about that.
Research I've done on it, there is femininity is surrounded.
Oh yeah, very good point. Males are also exploited for their reproductive ability. Yeah, like jerked off for their semen and stuff like that. Definitely true. So in that sense, it's kind of unfair for that, like, to not talk about that in some sense, because like they're also sexually exploited, like other animals are exploited in all sorts of ways. So I would be interested to make like a talk about the bestiality aspect of animal exploitation. Yeah, we do that a lot as activists. It's a big problem just talking about the diet aspect. It makes sense because most, like, it's a big part of animal exploitation, but it's not really. I think it's important to just define it and just remind people that it's not a diet and it's not only about the exploitation that is happening in animal agriculture, For example, horse carriages and zoos and stuff like that, or animal experimentation, for example.
With vegan, like more women are vegan because they're like sort of seen as being closer to nature. Femininity is surrounded with vegan, like more women are vegan because they're like sort of seen as being closer to nature.
I think that's weird. I mean, I get it, like closer to nature because no, that doesn't make sense to me because of like, it's not necessarily being more natural to be vegan. You're closer to nature in the sense that you not a predator. Like, I don't get that because you can be a herbivore and be herbivorous. I don't really understand that. But anyways, that's not about the outreach. I'll refocus a little bit.
I was just wondering, like, what your experience is as a man. I'm guessing you're vegan.
That's very cool. Thank you so much. Ooh. Let me know if my mic turns off because 10% battery.
Vegan.
Yeah.
Like, do you suffer any backlash from like other men? Like, has your masculinity ever been like sort of hypocrite, like criticized?
Yeah.
Not directly criticized by like other men about like my masculinity. There is the trope about being like a soy boy and being
He has the same mic as me almost. It's funny. I just noticed.
like weak and stuff. But I just find that funny because I was weaker when I was a meat eater.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm actually like, although I'm not strong in any way, I'm stronger than I was when I was a meat eater. And I've met
I
many.
don't like saying meat eater because, again, it's focusing on the diet thing, and just saying non-vegan, I think, is the perfect way to say,
meat eaters that are weaker than me. But yeah, I think it's just really funny that masculinity is so tied in with meat eating.
Yeah, it's really. That's why we're doing a presentation on it because it's like there's so much to it and so many different. I don't know. It's just really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting topic, and I think it's perpetuated by animal agricultural like industries because they obviously want people to continue eating meat, so they'll lie about the animals being happy and they'll lie about us needing it for calcium or protein, all these things. Like, to get strong, you need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Animal protein.
That's
it's
the
just
thing
not
on
the
protein.
case.
It's like, well, if I want to work out and like, be healthy, it's like, well, I need protein. And people say you can't get it from like plant-based diets, but you can.
Yeah, that's what my boyfriend's like. He's very like gym, lad culture, and I've had like debates with him about this, and he's like, it's just easy to get protein, have a high protein diet with like meat, and it's more accessible. But yeah, what are your views on that as well? Like it being less accessible as a vegan, and what respect.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was about this thing. I think the only right we're talking about when we're talking about veganism, I mean, in terms of like the actual definition and what is really, about is there's only one thing, is to not be used as a commodity, you know?
Expensive as well. Yeah, a lot of people's points are like about it being more expensive.
But yeah, like it's been proven if you're eating less processed food, it's actually cheaper to be plant-based. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's also like quite a big, echo chamber, and so like men will hear other men talking about the need for animal meat, so that kind of reinforces their beliefs, and they are very closed off to hearing.
I understand, yeah. Yeah, in that sense, if you were very deliberate about talking about how it's about that, I think it would make sense. But then you could even say, well, even males, like, I guess, but yeah, but it's like, problem is that it's not only females, but I get what you mean.
Hearing that they don't need to because they feel threatened in some way. I think it is tied in as well just because people don't like change. So like AMAB or AFAB people will push back because they don't want to change their kind of practices or recognize that maybe they have been doing something which isn't ethical for so long.
Because that question on the front saying, what does it say that is animals and abuse justified? Because like obviously not. Like during people were like, oh, I love animals, and like I'm not vegan, I'm just vegetarian, but still I would say to people like, would you eat like your pet dog? And it's like, I don't know, it's like, I know that's a weird point, but it's like if you would happily eat a cow, it's an animal, they're all animals. Like if you would be sad seeing your pet harmed or killed for food, then I don't understand how people can't feel the same way about other animals. Personally,
Exactly.
I know everyone has different
like,
reasons.
Someone might say like, oh, it's different because a dog's a pet, a cow isn't a pet, or a chicken's not a pet. But I have a friend who has a pet chicken.
I think they seem pretty on board with everything he's saying, pretty much. But I think at this point, I mean, not at this point of the conversation, but like for them, it will be really about accountability, like about actually do the change, You're not an ally to veganism. You have to be vegan, kind of thing,
Yeah, in other cultures as well. Like
it's about the relationship, isn't it?
So I understand why people be like, but it's different because I don't have a pet cow. But if you're just looking at it on the point of it's an animal, then
yeah. Yeah, but it can be tricky because how would we deal with like the pesticides things? Because like I get it, like an accidental, for example, there's manslaughter and then there's murder. It's a different thing, so it's different to accidentally kill an insect, for example, or even any animal, and you should reduce that as much as possible. When it comes to survival, it's a little different. So how would you put that down in the law? Like the right to life, it's very blurry to me. But yeah, like in the sense of freedom, yes. Yeah, like it's like I really recommend that book, like Rain Without Thunder, because at the end of the book he explains how it makes no sense to give rights, for example, of like what kinds of rights was it? Like any other right than the right to not be what is it? No, actually, I'm confusing that with something else. But like, you can't give the right to someone to not suffer too much. Like when they're slave, like it makes no sense. Like, why are you giving them the right to, for example, eat enough food if they're not even like they don't even have a right to their own bodies and not being killed and stuff? Like, I get like yeah, it's anyways. I don't think I'm being very clear about this, but never mind.
yeah, personally, I don't think it's justified.
Yeah, it's like the ability to suffer that matters, and if it has that ability, then it could be considered a victim. And if it could be considered a victim, maybe you shouldn't be victimizing.
I think we should not. I mean, I get it. It's hard, especially when English is your first language, because it's even more insidious because you're used to talking like like that because you were raised with that idea kind of thing. But like I think it can be very powerful to use she and he or they for animals, instead of it. But I know he doesn't mean it like they are an object. Like I think, but subconsciously can do something to non-vegans mindset.
Someone unnecessarily. So are you guys both vegan?
I'm vegetarian, but I really want to eat less dairy. Like I already have like a lot of dairy-free things, like butter, soy
My
milk.
main thing, I know everyone says it is cheese.
Other
than that, like I mainly eat plant-based, I'd say.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? You asked me about meat eating and masculinity. Do you think there's a connection between eating or abstaining from eggs and dairy as a form of feminism and femininity? Because ultimately, the animals which get abused for dairy and eggs.
I think it's interesting. It's a strange thing to put feminism and femininity next to each other. I think it's a bit confusing to me. They're very different things, but I don't like these associations.
Eggs are females. They're the ones that get their reproductive.
It has nothing really to do with femininity or masculinity or anything like that, really, to be a decent human. I understand appealing to how, like, for example, if you want to be empathetic and you associate that with femininity, or like you want to be masculine and you associate protecting the weaker than you and strength kind of thing and integrity with masculinity, then it would make sense that you would show that this is actually aligning with veganism. But it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little I don't like appealing to people's values because it doesn't matter if their values do not like reflect veganism, like they do not align with veganism, because it's completely irrelevant what the slave owner wants or not, like in terms of like if their value is that they think domination is good or something, or might makes right, doesn't matter. It doesn't make it okay for them to do anything, And I get it, like appealing to someone's values, like I understand this strategy because there is no idea in our society that the commodification of other animals is wrong. And so the only thing we can actually use is their own values, because like there's no other form of accountability kind of thing. But I think it's important to make them understand that they have it doesn't make it like it's not about them. It's not about them, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? I try to stray away from talking about the values in that sense. Or just showing them that even if a slave owner thinks it's okay, for example, to own a slave, it doesn't matter, and that way they get it. It's not about their values.
Cycles exploited. Have you ever thought about that connection before?
Yeah, I feel like from the research I've done on it, there is femininity is surrounded with vegan. Like more women are vegan because they're like sort of seen as being closer to nature. Like even through
or maybe more like nurturing and caring.
More caring.
Empathy, maybe, but I think the main reason is that men are actually scared off because of like this stereotype of like it's weak to be vegan because you actually are a decent person because you have like the minimum level of empathy you should have kind of thing, because apparently dominating the more vulnerable and in the sense of like brutalizing them is masculine for some reason. Anyways, I don't want to get into the conversation. I want to get point to the outreach kind of thing.
Like that's why more women are vegan and think about that. And I would say, like from my perspective, the same. Like I care about animals and their welfare.
That's true. I like that about it as well, but I don't think it's very powerful when you think about it.
Different, does it? I don't know. Do you know what I mean, though? Like,
I think maybe males can be a bit more stubborn and less
they'll be
open-minded.
Like, well, I like meat anyway, so why would I stop eating it? It's like, I don't know. It's just like thought about it.
Yeah, do you think maybe going vegan could be considered an act of feminism?
Yeah, I think it. I can't really think of say in more detail, but I haven't actually like looked through the article yet, but I've got one up and it's like, I kind of want to check it because I feel like I can't.
Yeah, go for it, carry on the conversation.
I feel like it is an act of feminism.
Yeah. So like feminism's about giving rights and autonomy to females, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that doesn't just apply to humans, it should also extend to other animals, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree, because that's like the main thing with dairy is I'm putting this cow through just an awful, like obviously I know the whole procedure with dairy and how that's made, and I'm putting a poor little innocent, and like it's just a cycle, isn't it? And if I can not contribute to that, and yeah, I don't know, I don't really know where I'm going with that, but
yeah,
that's where my thoughts, and that's why recently I really want to eat more vegan food and like just gradually implement it in my diet as well. Because for me, I can't like justify putting an animal through that process as well. But yeah,
it might seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but that individual act has a direct, directly reduces the suffering which is being caused.
Yeah.
So even if it's like a drop in the ocean, that's still a drop which you don't have to add. You don't have to cause that harm to that animal.
Yeah.
And you can, there's a thing called it's like vegancalculator.com or something like that, where you can actually put in how long you've been vegan, and it will show you how many animals you haven't exploited and how many lives you've saved. And also, like when you're buying dairy eggs, even though you're not paying for the meat of the animal, you're still supporting the industry which is killing it and exploiting it. Did you have the?
And yeah, it was just saying how it was like a book called Women, Meat and Media, and it's like the sexual politics of meat. And it was just saying how, where was it? Yeah, the main idea of the book is like vegetarianism as an act of rebellion against the oppression in society, which I was thinking about what you were saying about linking.
Vegetarianism.
Yeah, I haven't read the whole thing yet, but it sounds quite interesting.
Yeah, I'd say like vegetarianism is a really good, important step, but don't stop there, because ultimately, you can eat more plant-based food, but like plant-based and veganism are different. Veganism is about philosophy about reducing harm, and if you feel like if that's why you went vegetarian, there's no reason to stop at vegetarian, because like just extend that to those dairy cows and those chickens which are exploited.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest backlash that I face is opinions from other people, and like how, like when I go to and my boyfriends or something, I know I keep talking about him, like, but it's more difficult for his family because like none of them eat. All of them eat meat, sorry. So when I'm the only one that's vegetarian, it's like, I don't know, I almost get like, you can get your own veggie stuff, but like you can, and I feel like if I was vegan, it would be like, oh well, what can you eat? And stuff.
Yeah, people
and
always
it's just like opinions from other people.
There is that reaction, but every family is going to have that first person that goes vegan or vegetarian that goes vegan, and then, but it's just about breaking down that stigma, isn't it?
Yeah.
But like it's through education and.
I think we should bring back the victim's perspective at this point, because damn.
Showing that actually, look, this is the plant-based food that I'm eating. It actually is way better than that animal-based food. You don't need to be eating that.
I went vegetarian for 18 years. She still basically is now, but she eats a bit of meat sometimes. But she said that actually helped her cook and learn to cook and experiment. She was like,
more creative.
The best food she learned, and she's such a good cook. And she was like, I learned through cutting out meat because you just experiment, get creative with your meals.
What do you suggest moving forward for people to sort of get more involved with being vegan?
Well, I say like education is really important. So watch documentaries. Like if like dairy and cheese is a hang up.
I agree, but at the same time, I'm very glad that he's doing activism, obviously. And I was the same thing. I mean, I was the same way a few months ago. I get it, but also I think it's important that we keep educating ourselves, and getting more. I hope he watches this and that he lets me know what he thinks about my feedback, and also if he has any feedback on my outreach, that would be cool.
up, watch Cowspiracy, because that talks specifically about the dairy industry. Yeah, Cowspiracy talks about the dairy industry.
I don't really like that because it's focused on environmental impact. There's an ethical message as well, but I don't know.
And like what happens to dairy cows. And I think it's so important to not only hear what happens, but to see what happens and break the disconnection between dairy or cheese being the separate thing from the animal abuse and like linking it. And then you actually, instead of seeing cheese, you see an animal suffering and it won't have that same appeal. And I keep like looking up like resources which help going vegan and plant-based. So one I'm recommending is Challenge 22. Yeah, and that gives you whole foods plant-based meal prep.
And
the idea is it takes 22 days to change a habit.
Hence why I do the book club.
Or 21 days to change a habit. So they give you 22 days worth of meals. And they also give you like free nutritionists to like help you along with the journey. But so like check those two links out. But yeah, so Challenge 22 and Cowspiracy, I think are really good. But just generally documentaries and are really good.
In general, what do you recommend any vegan cheeses? Because I've just never like found one that I have tried them, and each time I'm like, but they haven't got that yet.
Yeah,
I don't know
try lots of different ones. I generally buy cheap ones because I'm a student.
Yeah,
but
because they're quite expensive, aren't they?
I know there's some. I got a friend who buys some online. I'm blanking now, but you can like if you look online, there's loads of really good, plant-based cheeses. But it's just about trying different ones because everyone's taste buds are different. But like you will find one that works.
Like a coconut oil-based halloumi in it. Don't recommend that.
Yeah, try different ones, but also like. None will taste exactly like cheese, but it's the same with meat. But that small difference in taste is less significant than the abuse that you're not causing, I'd say. So like your taste buds, again, they will adapt, they will change, and you will soon forget what, dairy abuse cheese tasted like, and you'll just get used to vegan cheese.
I think it's important to reframe it more on the animal at this point.
How can you not miss having meat? I can't even really remember it now.
Yeah.
Like, it's been so long, I'm not like, I don't miss it because I can't really remember what it tastes like.
The same will happen with cheese.
Yeah.
Honestly, like for me it was eggs. I was so stuck on eggs.
Yeah.
And then it was just like a overnight decision of I don't want to enjoy eggs if it comes at the cost of the animal. You're sorry, into the camera. So like ultimately I think we have to ask ourselves that question. Is the pleasure we're getting more important than the life of the animal? And almost all the time it's no. And like it sounds like you guys probably answer no to that question.
Yeah, we'd say no to that. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and like I say, as an act of feminism, don't contribute to the exploitation of dairy cows or egg-laying hens as well.
Thank you.
Thanks for that conversation.
That's strange because it's like, what about the male animals? You know what I mean? Yeah. Thank you, Amber, for all the work. Thank you to all the activists being awesome. Again, all of you guys that we reviewed, if you watched this, please let me know what you think about my feedback. I would love to know. Thank you for everything you do. You're amazing. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, like as I said in the previous one, I feel like, I mean, we've reviewed smaller channels. I mean, Natalie's pretty big, I feel like now, but compared to like Joey or thing, it's smaller channels than last time, and I think as smaller channels, we're more likely to take feedback and to change because we are often newer to activism, and we're more likely to just maybe change or hear this feedback. So I think it's really our responsibility because we're more likely to change to learn as much as possible from each other. But and obviously it's very important to be open to criticism to better ourselves. It's never personal. Of course, I know everybody is doing their best, and I fuck up a lot on things I already know often, and it's really not about being perfect, of course. It's just about trying to build each other up through feedback and criticism as well, and also learning from each other, because you guys do a lot of things that I've learned about actually even just today. So thank you for that. Yeah. So now the point in the live where we're actually going to be voting, not voting, but like if you have any videos you'd like me to react to next month in the similar live, let me know in the chat right now. Thank you so much. That's very nice of you. Thank you so much. So guys, which video would you like? Videos or video? Especially outreach, please, because it's really focused on the outreach styles. Would you like me to review next month? Oh, okay. All right, writing this down. Oh, hello, Sky. Thank you for being here. Someone said Ligger. Like, I'm sorry if I don't know how to. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry, but Ligger and said that he told you there was my life. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. The lab meat debate. I don't know. Well, that's an idea. It's just that I'd like to focus on the outreach. But that's an idea for some time at least. Thank you. Any other suggestions for next time? Ooh, well then I will also put that down. Thank you. Tizor. Her name is Tizor. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. You can also message me on Instagram, people, if you have ideas you have for next lives. Ethically, oh yeah. Any other suggestions for next time? For outreach videos, especially for me to review? And please, like, subscribe, of course, comment down below if you have things you'd like to say. That always helps. Sorry. All right, so I guess we're kind of out of suggestions. Thank you for all the suggestions. It's very helpful. Cool. So yeah, I also wanted to say next week there's this live reacting to comments. I'm kind of dreading that one because I've never done it. I'm nervous about it, but it should be hopefully valuable. And also this is helpful because hopefully I can make shorts out of this so that non-vegans can see that stuff. But yeah, so this weekend, probably on Sunday. I mean, it's going to be either on Saturday, on Sunday, or Sunday, but it's probably going to be on Sunday. There will be a new outreach video, finally, after 3 weeks. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. It's a new type of editing, so let me know what you think about it. If you have any feedback on editing, that can be helpful as well for me, so please feel free to comment. I read all the comments in the comment section, but I don't answer anymore. I will like and stuff, but because it takes too much time for me, to be honest, I'd rather spend my time making content than because the threads get long, and it just, even if you answer just one time, the person will think that if you don't answer back, you actually are proving them right or something, when it's not that. It's just you don't want to spend your whole time in the comment section. But I do answer you sometimes when you give feedback about my outreach, or because but if I don't answer, I do read every single one. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, it's a new strategy, I guess. Yeah, I saw the title. That was like, oh, that's always so nice when you run into a vegan, especially I think she was an activist. It's really cool. Thank you so much, Sky. Keep up the good work as well. I know you're doing outreach as well in all the lives. Thank you for all you do. Amazing. So yeah. All right. So see you on Sunday for the premiere of the outreach video. It's a completely new editing, obviously, style. And next week there will be the comments, reacting to comments live, and the week after that, very excited about the book club live, which is going to be a summary of the book we're reviewing. And by the way, every month we're going to be voting on the next book we want to be reading or reviewing, whatever. This time, the people voted for Benny Malone's How to Argue with Vegans book. Sorry, damn, I'm tired, I guess. And next time I will ask at the end of the live for book suggestions, and we will actually be voting in that live. So if you want to be able to vote, please make sure you come at least at the end of the live. It's probably going to be a long live because I'm going to spend a lot of time with the summary. It's taking. I have a lot of notes already, and I'm halfway through. So, and hopefully, if you want to give your feedback on the book or your thoughts on the book, if you have read it, I will invite people to join the stream, so they can tell us what they think about the book. Yeah. So keep in mind, if you have book suggestions, and if you can't make it to the live but you have suggestions, please feel free to comment under the live afterwards. Oh no, actually that's not gonna work. Never mind. Never done that before, you can tell already. I'm still thinking things through, but never mind, sorry. But you can put in the chat before the live if you can't make it to the live and you want to vote. And I'll write it down so that we have your book suggestion. But I know the time zone this doesn't work for everybody, time zone wise, like the time I do my live. So I'm sorry, I'm very restricted when it comes to live because I'm filming in my bedroom. It's the only place in my house where I can film with the background that I want. And my husband works night shifts, so it's complicated. But anyways, thank you so much for being here, guys, and watching and giving me your thoughts. And feel free if you ever have any feedback on what I'm saying or what I'm doing in my outreach. It would be very helpful. Oh my God, 4:40. Well, thank you so much for being here. Please get some sleep. Thank you so much for being here. You always say very interesting things as well. Yeah. So please subscribe, and see you this Sunday, actually, if you can make it. Please be active for the animals. Educate yourself about veganism, obviously, so that we can be better activists. And see you next time. Bye, everybody. Have a good night or good day or anywhere you are.